So now that we've done Ox Paws the Earth and the Tin Soldier in the first video, we'll talk a little bit more about the walking. So, God, there's so much stuff. I just write a few notes. I could talk for a day on it. We'll talk about lion stepping, I guess. Yeah, why not? So, there's different types. Every lineage kind of has a different way of doing the walk. And they all have different components, and they all see it differently, and they're all correct. Okay, it's pretty much that simple. If it's a trad lineage, the masters will have floating route. They'll be really fast and really changeable. If you won't be able to just touch them and knock them over. So it doesn't matter which one of those lineages you're a part of, you need to train the way they tell you to train. Okay? So for the chung that I do, the lion stepping is about how I put my foot down, how I pick my foot up, and which leg is the point of origin of my actual forward movement. Okay? So putting the foot down in lion stepping is actually with the ball of the foot. I'm kind of too far away, I think, for me to really do it with my foot, but basically when you put your foot down, if this is the ground, you're going to put your foot down instead of normally like with your heel in this kind of a step, you're going to put your foot down basically flat. So my toes are a little bit back, right, my fingers, and I touch with the ball of the foot, my foot flattens, and then the lion step part is that I'm actually going to grab a little bit with the toes. Now it's not extreme, I'm not doing this, right, but my toes are going to kind of go into the earth. Now this is the idea of like a cat when it's creeping towards something, okay, it settles itself in, and it's actually grabbing with those front legs so that it can pull itself, and this is the key, it pulls itself into motion. So this type of stepping is actually pulling out of the front leg instead of pushing out of the rear leg. Now there's a push in the rear leg as well, but you have to train one thing at a time. So as you put your foot down, it touches, it catches, and it drags the next foot. So I'll do it a little bit. I don't know if you're going to be able to see much, but as I'm doing it, so I get into the ground here, I pull my front leg. So this is my right leg. I'm pulling my weight from my left into my right. And when my left leg is light enough that, and my hip has come down, that I can pick up my left hip, I pick up my left hip, I do my Ox Paws the Earth style of step, I touch ball of the foot, and then I'm down. There's my step, right? And I come and I pull myself into my front leg. So, the other part of this whole lion stepping, pulling thing, okay, is I'm being pulled across the room, and my heel is not allowed to be exposed. So, I'll get really far from the camera. If I walk normally, my heels come up like this. We don't want that. Okay, there's actually an old Bagua saying that if you show the bottom of your foot to an enemy, he can put a demon in it with black magic. Which of course is just a warning, right? But we got to make sure that we keep our heels down the whole time as we're doing this. So when I pick up my rear hip and I pick up my foot, I gotta try to keep the back leg, or the back foot, as level as I can to the ground. So it's like this. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's more like this than it is like this. Okay? So a way to think about this, if you live in a colder country, is like it's walking on ice. Because when you're walking on ice, you kind of want to stay as close to the ground as possible so you don't lose it and end up on your head. So you're just skating across the ice. You don't want to land and strike with the heel because you might slip. And you don't want to pick up too much on the heel because you might slip backwards. So you have to have everything really solid. And that goes back to that sitting on the bar stool thing. So this gives me my verticality, right? So if I walk a little bit quicker, you'll see that I have a vertical line in my body when I'm doing this. Okay, I'm not wobbling, I'll just start below it here. Right, you see beginners and up, they'll do this kind of stuff, right, or they'll just start walking. And now you can see that I don't have any root at all. I'm just kind of floating around like I'm walking across the street. I have to be in my body here, okay? It's really important to get into your legs. Really, really, really important. So that's the lion step. So you have to use Ox Paws the Earth, Tin Soldier, sitting on the bar stool, and then the lion step to start to kind of be able to move. And that's enough to be practicing and working in lines, essentially. Don't start walking circles just because you think you're training Bagua, okay? Because the circle is a whole other deal. You're not just walking in circles, because Bagua's bloody hard. Simple as that. It's bloody, bloody hard. There's a lot of information that was encoded in there. You know, because it's one of the newer internal martial arts styles. I mean, the newest one, the last one before the real overtake of firearms. So Dong Hai Chuan, whatever a genius he was, he had access to a lot of research, right? Taiji was already around, Xingyi Liuhe was already around, Xingyi Quan was already around, all that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of stuff going on in the martial arts world that he could draw from. So it's really difficult. Bog was tough. So yeah, I think I'll cut it there. So walking with the hip, pulling with the feet. Good stuff.